My father did his job on mentoring. So compared to today, my father's responsibility as I grew up was to make certain that I had the ability to be on my own.
Hello, Angel Santiago here, and I'm the Mindset and Leadership Specialist here at Freedom Practice Coaching. I read a book once called No More Mr. Nice Guy, and it's probably not what you think. It's not anything like don't be a nice person, but it's all about the nice guy syndrome. It's rooted in people-pleasing tendencies, and it's rooted in your upbringing. And one of the things the book suggests is that, particularly it talks about how does the nice guy syndrome come about. There was usually very low presence of masculine in the house and high presence of feminine in the house, particularly with controlling, perfectionist, highly critical mother figure, and then not enough masculine figure. And so then you get the nice guy syndrome, because it was really, really important to make sure that, mom was pleased and mom was happy, or else kind of a thing. And so I definitely have that. And what the book says, go out there and talk to some mentors, people that you look up to, people that can share with you, perhaps what you might have missed out growing up. They can teach you, and you can observe, what does it mean to be a man from their perspective. Of course, someone you respect. And so I've decided to take on that task, and I'm asking some of the people that influence me today, some of the men in my life that influence me today, what does it mean to be a man for them? And so this is sort of the beginning of that journey, and hopefully there'll be other men out there who can benefit from this conversation. I know I did. And so in this episode, we're talking to the founder of the company that I work for, Freedom Practice Coaching, Dr. Charles Webb. So I guess the first question would be what does it mean to be a man for you?
What does it mean to be a man to me? So I was raised by a man and a woman, right? I had a father the whole time growing up. And at that age in time, there was a basic distinction. I was in the early 60s, so my parents, were the man went to work. The man was the sole provider in most cases.
Right.
The mom had her mom duties, and those were the house, the kids, things like that. In our environment, in our family, everything worked. It was fine. There was no. My mom took a tremendous amount of pride and respect for what she did, and my dad respected for that. It wasn't. There came this time where, a woman is less than a man because she takes care of the kids and raises a house. Okay, that I can go into that real deep. That wasn't an accident. That was started intentionally, and not for good reasons. But the bottom line, those were two roles that I, as a child, respected too. I had tremendous respect for my dad, but I knew my mom more because she raised us. So I had a wonderful childhood. My father did his job on mentoring. So compared to today, my father's responsibility as I grew up was to make certain that I had the ability to be on my own, that I learned discipline, all these things that he knew someday Charlie's going to be on his own. And so I didn't get the cuddling from my father. I'm sure he didn't get it from his father. Mm-hmm. I do different with my son. You know that, how yeah. I'm a lover, I'm a hugger, and I treat my son I hug him all the time, I'll kiss him, but I also am his father.
Right.
Meaning my job is not ever to have my son need me. My job is to empower my son. So he wants me, so I can be his friend, but first and foremost, I'm his daddy, I'm his father. And so that was the environment I grew up in. I still, and every household can be different. In today, there's the masculine role, there's the feminine role. Both of those are equal, yin yang. They both hold. Most women, not all, most really, really enjoy the feminine side of things, and they appreciate it, and they don't want to be masculine. And that individual works out well with a masculine male. Now, there are instances where some males are more feminine. By the way, all males, including me, have a feminine side, and I would never want to give it up.
Right.
I enjoy that side, right? And so men have the masculine side, and I've learned a lot over time. Like before we started this, you had mentioned I've only learned from women. Well, that's not a bad thing. I mean, yes, it's nice to have a father figure. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
And a daughter needs a father figure, and a daughter needs a mom figure. We both need both. But learning from a woman can teach you a lot too. Even more so, learning from your significant other. Like I learned a tremendous amount about being a man with my mates, with Mindy, because learning how women think and understanding the importance of your role as a man, you can't learn that as much from a man as you can from a woman in many instances. Okay, so I will go back in time. I didn't mean that long detail, but I'll go back in time with understanding why I reflect this way. I believe a man has a responsibility in the household to lead the household. That's not being, what do you want to call it, not oppressive in any way, and that doesn't say that one person takes dominance over other. I have a responsibility to make certain nothing happens to my family. Why? Because I take that role, and there is a physical element to it. I'm masculine. I can handle someone breaking into my house more readily than my wife and my child, my son. Okay, that being said, and in most cases, that being said is the truth, then the responsibility should go to the person that has the ability to handle that job better. So we can keep taking that role. I have the responsibility in my household to lead my household into living the best we can on purpose and respecting each other and all of that. So that doesn't mean that my wife doesn't have that potential. Doesn't mean my wife doesn't want those same things. But if things get lazy in the household and things get busy, some of those responsibilities can be left aside, and that can affect our relationship. It can affect our son. I want my son to always have a household where he always knows that his parents are walking the walk, walking the talk, right? Not just, so I look at that role and say, look, in this household, we are very concerned about our health. I'm going to lead that by my actions and my life. It's not that I push it on, but it's my job to lead it. Oh, well, you're tired this week, and maybe you can just screw off. And not to say we don't have cheat days and all that.
Sure.
But generally speaking, if you ask my son, hey, does your dad eat well? Oh, my God, yes. In fact, it was funny because the other day, we were talking about the Christmas party, and Mindy said, hey, what do you think about having a hot chocolate bar? And before she could finish, Landon said, Mom, the people that work for Dad, they're not going to go for that. Meaning he already knows. That, which means that part of that's been my leadership here too, and that's been the culture. If you're working here, it's a beautiful thing. People, if they come here not quite there, they end up being there, and they all are thankful for it, right? So, am I leading my household? In my household, we believe in God. We believe to act in a way to serve others, to serve Him. And okay, so if we're going to be on purpose, does that mean that I should make certain that we have some devotional time with my son? I'm going to make certain that happens. Doesn't mean that Mindy doesn't. And if I never did anything, and if I didn't lead it, maybe it'll still go on. But it's my responsibility, my extreme ownership, so that does happen. So maybe a night happens and we're all kind of lazy, it's time to go to bed. If I'm leading, I'll say, that's fine, but we're going to do it. It'll just be 5 minutes, but we're going to do it. I'm going to keep that discipline up, because that's going to come back. It's planting seeds for us. It's in all of our life. So that's what I mean by lead. And because I also am driving the business, I am the main breadwinner. In this case, I have to lead the financial responsibility. Mindy has a huge role in that. She's responsible for the accounts. She also works. But I'm the one that takes extreme ownership that things are going to happen to where in the future we're going to be living nice. We both participated, but in this case, I took the extreme ownership, the leadership role in that. Her leadership role is different in a lot of ways. She makes certain that the household is beautiful for us all the time. It's comfortable, that there's food and that the dogs are groomed and land, and she works with land and getting into practice all those. I mean, we both share those. But her extreme ownership role is those. And we sometimes I fill the food. Right. I go grocery shopping.
Exactly.
We do it. But if something's not done, she takes the leadership in that role.
Right.
So as a man in a relationship, now a man that it's not a relationship, the leadership still is there. It's a responsibility. How are you going to live your life? How are others going to see you live your life? How are you going to pull other people up? So a man, in a lot of ways, in my opinion, is synonymous to leadership. And what are you doing to provide significance as you go through? So like some people, a real man. Well, what is a real man? Right? A real man isn't a man that can slam a beer. That's not a real man. A real man isn't a guy that can go in and pick up two women out of the bar. Okay, that's ludicrous. That's ego-driven stuff.
Right.
A real man is the guy that'll step in front of someone else being attacked. A real man is going to make certain that his wife is taken care of and she's loved and she's appreciated. A real man is going to make certain that his son or his daughters or whatever are learning to go through life and take care of themselves and survive, and being willing to discipline without going, oh, I don't want to, I want to be their best friend. Well, I do too, but I can't be, because I'm a leader and I'm a man, and if I was just his best friend, I would let him down.
Yeah.
So it's taken on responsibilities, and being willing to put yourself second place.
And see, here's the biggest difference that I see, because you mentioned something, and I felt it. I got emotional inside when you said it. Like, my dad was there to instill in me this values so that I can go out there and be on my own.
Yes.
See, I didn't get that, because in my case, what do moms do? They want to take care of you.
They want to take care of you.
They want to do it
That's
for you.
The nurturing part.
That's the nurturing part.
And thank God, my mom was a nurturer.
Right.
I love my mom.
But I didn't have that balance.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
And you will. And there's women that do that, right? There's women that have been single for a long time, and they've been in a hardship, and they know that those hardships can affect their children. And there's some pretty tough women that have taken on that role. Many. But the natural instinct of a woman is to nurture her child. It came from her womb. That's the natural loving instinct, and it's built that way on purpose and intention. So thank God I had that. And if I didn't have my father doing that, it would have been wonderful if another man
could have done that.
Would have stepped in, right? Now on the counter side of it, sometimes you have to understand, in my case with my son, he does get nurturing from me. He does. But he also gets the discipline. We have a relationship that he does stay in line. Not that I've the discipline that I've had to do with Landon has been minimal.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want for me to be upset, or his mom. It's worked out at a young age. But in contrast to my father never, until, I don't know, I was probably in my, I would say late 30s before my father that I can remember where my
Yeah.
father said, "I love you." I would come home from out of town. I would give my mom this big hug, and then he would stick his hand out for a handshake. That's the way he grew up. You didn't hug you, at least where he grew up and in this culture. Now,
Right.
if you grew up in Hispanic culture, even back in those times, you probably got a hug. It was different.
Maybe even a kiss on the
You
cheek.
got a kiss, okay? But the culture of here in the States, I know at least with the Anglo population, it was, hello, son, and and shaking like this. And he eventually started learning to enjoy the hugs because I didn't take his handshake. I hugged him, and then pretty soon he didn't stick his hand out anymore. And then pretty soon, hey, Dad, love you too, son, and that happened, right? And so I got that, but it was just a matter of he had grown up and what he understood of being a man was to be manly, the ego side of manly, right? This is who I'm be,
right.
and to be nurturing. No, that's a woman's job. That's don't let your friends see you hugging and kissing your boy. That's little. Oh, that's your little boy, and that's your daddy. I mean, that was just. I mean, it's a sad thing, and I'm glad it's changed because there's still plenty of people that do that, right? Mm-hmm. So. There's a huge need of children that don't have their daddy around. That's
what I was going to ask. Do you think there's a gap? There's a
huge gap.
Gap.
Because you have to have both.
Yeah.
And I totally believe that you have to have the nurturing side and the leadership, discipline, strong side. And that does come from a femininity and a masculinity. And if you have two people together that are both masculine, the child is going to have some challenges. Mm-hmm. If both people have the feminine, the child is going to have some challenges. Yeah. And typically, you don't have that as often. You'll typically have one or the other. Again, in some cases, it's the woman that's masculine, the man's feminine, and they accept their roles. It works for them. And the discipline comes from mom, right? And daddy is, I can't wait to see daddy because he's going to cook some cookies and we're going to go to the park and run around. But they still have someone keeping them in line to learn to survive.
That makes sense,
right?
So if you run into someone like me, another man in my shoes, like what would be like something that you could say, hey, look, if there's one thing I could tell you to develop this, what would that be?
Well, I think without diving into you, and I know you, but not like I've known you that long, is I would think, it's just my perception,
sure,
that without having grown up with that father figure, without having that masculinity, I would assume there's probably some confidence issues in you being a man. Not to, you are, you're capable of it, but I would assume that right. you kind of wonder sometimes, I learned from my mom, what did these other guys got that I didn't? I mean, I can only imagine if I'm a kid and I'm always with my mom and he's over there with his dad and they're playing basketball and they're learning to become men, I would question myself.
Completely.
Do I have that?
Dead on.
And so I guess the question, or what I would say, is first and foremost, know that you are 100%. It's always there and it's always been there. Equally with any of those kids that had that. That's in you. That's in your heart. That's in your genes. You are. So accept that, love that, and know that I have it all. Now I just want to learn more about what I might miss, what I may have missed out on in that upbringing, and find mentors that can help you fill those gaps that you might think. You might not be missing as much as you think, but if you spend time with mentors, myself, other people that you look up to that are leaders and so forth, I think you can quickly come to a point of realizing I may have missed out on some of those things. but I can be an incredible man, right? Because it's always there. No one can take that away from you. It wasn't something that someone gave you. It was something that was developed, that was already there. So it's still there.
Right.
And coming in here and knowing that you didn't have that, if someone didn't know you, I don't think they would know that, because you come across as very complete. But I know it's probably been challenging, and the only reason I say that, part of the reason that you pursued what you do is because of the challenges that you need to get over personally.
Right. That's correct.
Yeah.
I mean, you're so dead on. So dead on. I mean, in fact, Elizabeth said something to me the other day. She goes, why can't you sometimes be that man that's on stage in the relationship?
So think about this. That isn't unique to you not having the father figure. That's unique to 90% of all men. Now we're not talking about mom and dad. Now we're talking about being a man with that feminine partner, okay? What are they looking for? That's different. She's looking for the man that she can look up to and know when you're on that stage, you're confident, you're secure, they're safe. Internally, a woman, the feminine woman, really, really wants to go through life feeling safe. It's just the way they're built. It's the way they are. They want to feel that. If you fill out a chart, when it comes to me and like filling out stuff that, okay, and some of them qualify, I want to be safe, you ain't going to get any jacked.
Yeah.
I go through life, like blitz through life, and I'm not concerned about being safe. A woman is, but the majority of them, I want to know that I can focus on being a woman, enjoy my children, raise my children in a safe environment, know that something happens, I've got my bodyguard. They're there for me, for my child, and they're going to be there to make certain I have a roof over my head. All of that is the characteristic of the typical feminine, nurturing female. Thank God. They're beautiful. So why can't you be that man on the stage? Why don't you let that man out instead of just letting that man out on stage? So what she's saying, I'm not feeling safe now because you're not feeling confident. Does that make sense?
Perfect sense. It's funny because with us, it's what you said earlier. Like, I'm the one that's going to cook and go take them to the park and go run around, and she's going to want she's the one that disciplines mostly. She's the harsher one, right?
That may be your relationship.
But she doesn't accept it. She wishes she wasn't like that.
Well, then maybe she doesn't want that. She's waiting for you to step up.
Right, I think so.
David Dieta, The Way of the Superior Man, is a book you probably ought to get. He really, really dives in that and defines it. And you'll enjoy it. So I would go into that because I learned a lot that myself in understanding that whole yin yang. You know, he really spells it out well. And when you see that, you kind of realize it holds true. A woman. I'll give you an example. If Mindy says, "What do you want to do tonight? Where do you want to eat?" What do you think the response should be? What is she looking for?
An answer.
What kind of answer?
A direct answer.
A direct answer. She wants me to take control. Where would you like to eat tonight? I've got it all lined out. We're going to go to the Palms, and I've got reservations, and don't worry about a thing. I'm going to go ahead and play the piano. Let me pour you a glass of champagne. Go get ready, honey. Done. It's a great night. That's what she's looking for, is direction, right? Will you take control? Would you take control? And when we don't, when we think that, now that's not to say that when you say something like that, they might go, "Oh, well, I was thinking of X." No problem. I'll make the plans, right? Thank you, honey. But when we go back and forth, I don't know, what do you want to do? I don't. Now there's no yin yang. Now there's no masculine. There's no one leading, and they want to be led, just like in a dance. I want you to lead me. They like that. It makes them feel like a girl, and they'll always have a girl. It's interesting. Mindy and I, like any couple, we have disagreements, and we do tremendously well because we know each other so well, and she's one of the most confident, secure. She got it together, and that's why I love her. Mm-hmm. And so we're very good in our own skin. Again, Mindy married me because she loved me, not because she needed me. We do not need each other. I'll never leave her because I love her and I want her. If I just needed her, we're back to the problem. Well, right. Are you here because you love me, or you need me? And that's not a good place to be. And we had some miscommunication on something, whatever the subject was, and the bottom line, I could tell that she was upset. And here's this strong woman. She's very feminine, but this strong woman. And sometimes if I forget that she still has a little girl in her. And when I saw her tears water up in her eyes, and I saw that little girl, I just hugged her. We weren't in an argument or anything, but I saw that little girl come out, and it reminded me of the Bob Dylan song, "Well, you talk just like a woman," and he goes through the deal, right? Mm-hmm. "But you break just like a little girl," and it just was that, and I was like, oh my God, here's my wife, and I forgot she's still that little girl, and she wants to know she can be that little girl. They love when you cuddle them. They love when you call them my little girl. They love when it's my baby girl. That brings them back to what and it's and again, so that they came from father in a way. And that relationship means so much in building them up to when that father really cuddles them and makes them feel like their little girl and stuff. They don't want to let go of that. And so how do we do that if they don't look up to us? Not above them, but in, what's the word I'm thinking of?
Admiration.
Yeah, admiration, right? They looked at their daddy as, it's my daddy, and that's the way your wife should look at you. That's my husband. That's that guy. Oh yeah, right there. Yeah, that's my husband. Look at him walk. I mean, that's all. And look at him walk when she sees you on stage. That's my husband, and she wants that husband with her all the time.
Well, there you have it. You just heard from Dr. Charles Webb, founder of Freedom Practice Coaching, on his perspective, on his take of what does it mean to be a man, and what is the purpose of a man in the household in comparison to the feminine partnership that he has within his own home and his upbringing, what he learned growing up. He shared some great knowledge there, some great wisdom, some great experience. It definitely reached me. Like, as you can see, what I pointed out was that for me, not having that masculine figure, I didn't get that balance, right, of the nurturing plus that strong disciplined leadership. Yeah, I was disciplined, but nonetheless, my mom was my mom, right? And so that concept that Dr. Webb was talking about of, hey, I need to teach you to be on your own one day, that didn't necessarily happen because that's not what moms do. Moms want to nurture. Moms want to do it for you. Moms want to help you. And so that didn't come through to me. And so it's something that I had to learn on my own, or I'm learning even still today, and more so after reading that book, Number Mr. Nice Guy, on, hey, I need to learn some things on what does it mean to be a man. And so I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I hope you found it helpful. Be on the lookout for the next one. I believe we're going to do a part 2 with Dr. Webb. It was so good. So stay tuned. Take care.